Alright, so in today's video, we're going to show you guys how to use PropStream in order to pull both on-market and off-market data. Um, Basically, what we can do is we can create preset filters so that later on we don't have to keep kind of clicking through the list. But I want to show you right now I have a preset filter for both the MLS, and of course we have some for like foreclosures, auctions, and so forth. Uh, let's do on-market first. So I want to click on my MLS BILT filter here that I've already created. But essentially all you would do is you create one and then you would click save and name it whatever you want. But in this tutorial, we're going to look for Austin, Texas. Use this example this time. And you'll notice that there's 4,000 properties inside of here. Again, right, like even though there's 13,000 properties on market, it's only pulling 4,000 because of my filter, right? Again, play around with your own filters, single family and condos, and then yes, it's on market. Of course, we go specific thing, max our interest rates. Only want to target conventional. Again, you're more than welcome to play around with these. So I click on view now right here, and I can select all my contacts 4,000 properties. Now, if I click on actions here to the right, I can click on save, and I can create a new marketing list if I don't have one already. Because most of you guys probably don't, what I'm going to do right here is type in Texas, right? This kind of allows me to always sort based off of states first before we get into major cities. And then I'm going to put Austin, comma, and then dash MLS, right? Let's click. So what this is doing, just creating me a market list. Yes, it does cost you whatever tokens you have inside of there for that billing period, and that's fine. But once this is done, we have 4,000 properties. All right, so the next thing we want to do is maybe in the same exact area, we want to pull off-market data. So cool thing with this, again, you can, if you have pre-saved filters right here that you've already done, you can go ahead and click on them. Pre-foreclosures here is a default that comes with PropStream. So for this same instance, I'm going to go ahead and click on the pre-foreclosures. Now, there's 231 properties here that are in pre-foreclosure, but at the same time, you might want to go down the list here and say off market. So we want none that are on market, and then keep going down and maybe make any specifics, right? For this example, let's just say I want to do low equity pre-foreclosures, estimated equity here. I don't want to target anything above 20%. And then at the same exact time down here at the bottom, I might adjust my interest rates. There's only 24 properties right now at the moment, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But you can see when you really hone down on this data, even though there might be a ton of properties, as you can see here, if we didn't select anything, there'd be hundreds of thousands, right? So for now, I'm just going to click on view 24 properties. And again, I'm going to go select and then save. And right here, I'm going to create a new one. And in the same exact format, I basically want to keep it. So Austin. And instead of MLS, I'm going to put off market. And then I'm going to put pre-foreclosure. I can in parentheses. Right. I'm going to go ahead and click save. So 24 properties were added. If I go back to my properties here to the left, you're going to see we have Austin pre-foreclosures. Now, as far as MLS data, right, we can also save our export filters. So if you notice right now, by default, my PropStream is set up in a way that's easy to upload directly into BILT, right? In order to modify these right here, so let's just say we go to Austin, you know, there's 4,049 that we just pulled a second ago, and we have all this data, right? So notice how in BILT we need square footage, we need ARV, and we need, of course, mortgage balance. So I have all the three things I need. Now there's some extra stuff that I like as well, like the loan rates, loan types, monthly rent, PITI, and so forth, right? So we don't have to skip trace on market data. Agents come with their name, their phone number, and email. If it's available on the MLS, we get it for free. We don't have to skip trace it at all. One of the advantages of using PropStream with on-market data, right? Now, notice right here, it is set currently right now to my BILT MLS default, right? Which essentially means it's MLS data. I do not have to modify these columns. I don't have to delete any columns. Everything's ready to go. Now, if you wanted to create your own, you would update this, check some boxes, uncheck those boxes, do what you need to do, There's an actual tutorial on how to create this version for the MLS one on our startup hub. So make sure you check that out. But nonetheless, what I'm going to do right here is just click apply because that's what we're using right now. Doesn't really matter. This is for on market. And I'm going to go ahead and select all actions and export CSV. So there's the Austin list. It's going to download in a second, and that's pretty much ready to go. I'm going to show you what you should do next so that you are kind of maximizing what you need to be doing for data. So I'm going to take this data right here. Let me go and pull it up on a Google Sheets just so it's easier for you. All right, so for this example, I already have, here's also open sheets. We're going to move this over. Right. That loads. All right, so here's property export Texas Austin MLS. Now, the fun part here is that, before we upload into a system, of course, we want to verify these emails and phone numbers and stuff like that. But also to save you money and time on everything, what you can do is just select the first column right here, and we want to click on data, and we, of course, click as a create a filter. So now that this can sort these, whatever we need. So I like to go based off email since we primarily do LOI blasting. We're going to sort from A to Z. And once I sort from A to C, you'll be able to see right away that looks like there's a few duplicates in here. But also at the same time, you're going to see blank, right? So if I scroll all the way down to the bottom, go all the way down, you're going to see there's a bunch of emails that are not there. There's multiple ways you can do this. Number one, you could select all of these right here, put them in another spreadsheet and find the emails later on. I'm not going to worry about that. Data is data. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead and delete. All right. All right, so now that I got rid of all the missing, now we only have 3,800, and I believe there was, 4,400 or something. We lost quite a few, right, just by cleaning our list right there. Another thing is we have a lot of duplicates in here. So what I want to do is click on data, and we're going to click on data cleanup. We can clean up suggestions, or we can remove. For this example, I'm just going to click on remove duplicates. Data has a header row, and we're going to go all the way to the email. That's going to be our focus. So uncheck select all. I go down here to MLS agent email, remove duplicates. Notice right here there was 1,236 duplicates. Now there's only 2,600 unique remaining. Technically, as long as those emails are verified and scrubbed, we can upload those directly into the system. We already removed all of our duplicates. So and then you would just, of course, file, download, CSV, upload into your system. All right, so that's on market, right? Let's talk about off market for a second, right? Off market properties are a little bit different. So let's go back to PropStream right here. Now we pulled, Austin just now. This example, I'm going to use Houston since I've already skip traced it. But I want to show you, for those who don't know how to skip trace, essentially what you would do is go to skip tracing right here to the left. And then, of course, it's going to say, hey, we're going to charge you. You're going to select your contacts. We're going to select the group of contacts that we plan on skip tracing. So, for example, let's say the Houston off market 167. So 167, you would click add selected contacts. You can uncheck some those that you don't. But notice how some of them already have it right here versus if I went to the Austin one that we just pulled, 24, it doesn't have anything. But again, you would just click add selected contacts. It would come down here. You would click done, and it would ask you, do you want to be charged? All right. Let's click done. Okay, you can re-skip trace. I'm not going to worry about it. You would hit next. And of course, it would go ahead and charge you whatever amount. So now, once you do skip trace that information, you can go to your, let's click contacts right here on the left-hand menu. And you're going to see I have the Houston off-market pre-foreclosures that I just pulled a second ago. And it's already skip traced. Now, it might take some time, right? So if it says pending right here, that means it's not fully skip traced. Keep that in mind. But since this one is complete for this tutorial right here, I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. So 167 are selected, and I'm going to click on export. Now, there's a few things to note, right? When you're doing this, and let me actually pull it up so you can see what I'm talking about. Property data that is skip traced does not come with all the information that you need. It doesn't come with the square feet, doesn't come with the ARV, doesn't come with mortgage balances. This is just trying to give you essentially just all the skip traced information, right? And here I'm about to show you pulling up in a spreadsheet now. So here's the data that was skip traced. So yeah, you have a name, last name, company name. If it's company, you might want to filter those out anyways during your pull. You know, all this information, street address, but it doesn't have any details about the property except for their phone number and emails, right? And so this data is kind of incomplete. So what we needed to go do is go back to PropStream, go back to our My Properties, and that same exact list, the 167 off market pre-foreclosure, you'll be able to re-export this list that comes with those values, and then we're going to have to merge them, right? So if I click on the gear icon here, and again I switch to my off market, I click apply. Now it just gives me all the information that I need without the agent info, because this is off market data. Again, you can save those by clicking the gear icon, save a template, and so forth. For now, I'm going to go ahead and click select all. I'm going to click on download. I'm going to click on export and then that is going to download. And of course, I'm just going to open this in Sheets. We're going to move this over. All right, so now we have all the details, right? We have the owner's name, but we don't have their phone numbers and emails. But on the other hand, on this data, we do have their phone numbers and emails. So how are we going to merge this? You cannot just copy and paste the columns over. And the reason being is because the data might be out of order. And if you do just paste them directly, it will not make sense. So there's a few things that we need to do, okay? This is where it becomes a little bit technical, guys, right? When I say in order to get into real estate, you need to learn how to use spreadsheets, I wasn't lying, right? Like, you need to know how to use spreadsheets, you need to know how to use formulas. It makes your life 1,000 times easier instead of doing things manual, right? But how are we going to get our skip traced information here into this, right? How are we going to be able to merge that? Because this first property here is 6510 1121. Let's see if it matches right now, right off the bat. So it is not, right? So those are not the same two properties for the very top. So how are we going to merge this, and how are we going to get Aisha Allen's name and, you know, phone number and so forth put together? So let's first look at the data real quick. So here it gives us a direct phone right here that we can use, phone 1, and it gives you a direct email. Let me see if it merges it. So what we truly care about is just, do they have a phone number? Do they have an email, right? And this is again where I say it gets complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all this data. Right? I'm going to select all of it. I'm going to copy it over to this other, which is our main, right? And I'm just going to keep it sheet 1, and I'm just going to paste it, right? Because what I'm about to do is a VLOOKUP function that I will look in this data set based off their name and pull it into this one automatically for us. So over here on the right hand side, I'm going to go put a cell here called phone, and I'm going to put one called email, right? So I can pull the information from the skip traced information into that. So going back in here, we're going to just go back to this one. In order to do this, you can't just use the existing information that's on here. We need to create a new column for a control on the A column, right? So I'm actually going to add a new column to the left, and I'm going to call this control, right? Just for a reference right now. And what we need is basically to make sure the first and last names match from this sheet to the next sheet. So we're actually going to do a control also on this one. So we're going to add another control, a new column, control. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to merge these, right? Make sure it's the same, because we don't want to just pull Michael and then next thing you know, there's another Michael in here and it pulls that phone number. We don't want to rely on that. And the addresses we can't use because sometimes they're, you know, spelled a little bit differently and it doesn't work either. So the best way to do this is doing a control. So essentially what we're going to do is a trim, right? Is a trim function. We're doing two functions here. We're doing a trim function and we're doing a VLOOKUP function. I know this is complicated, right? But you want it to go off market. If you don't want to go off market and you don't want to have to do all this spreadsheet madness, stick to on market. That's just the reality. Okay. So we're going to click on equals. We're going to type in trim. We're going to open a parenthesis and we're going to select Ryan, the first name. Okay. Now, this is where it becomes, we need to actually merge it, right? In order to merge it, we need to add and symbol, and then we need to do a parenthesis, space, quotation, space, quotation, do another and symbol, and then we can select Williams, the last name. This is, and we're going to close the bracket, and we're going to hit enter. Notice what it did, it merged the first and last name here, okay? So all we can do now is we can just drag it all the way to the bottom so that it merges all of them, and now all of them are merged, okay? So that is ready to go. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger. There you go. All right, so that's one thing. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is basically do the same exact thing that we just did for the control over there, over here. Now you can copy and paste it, but it's not going to work because the columns aren't the same. But what we need to do is, again, do another trim right here. So trim, we're going to click on the first name. It's fine if it's blank, right? All we need to do is make sure we're selecting that first name right there. And parenthesis, or quotation, sorry, another space, quotation, and again, select the last name. And again, you can copy this formula if you want and just try to understand it. I'm going to hit enter. Now notice this one's blank because it doesn't have a first and last name because it's a business instead of an actual property. Anyways, we're going to scroll down, shift this all the way down to the end. And there we go. So now these ones are mapped out. They're ready to go. Most of the time, if you have companies anyways, they're not going to be skip traced. Notice here, do we have any values for those companies? No. So it does not matter, right? It might be a better idea to, when you're in PropStream, to filter out based off owners, but that's another topic for another time. Now that we have our control, now we can do our lookup function, right? Our lookup function is a VLOOKUP, right? And what we want to do is pretty much get the phone from this sheet onto this sheet. But now that we have a control, we can actually do it. So I'm going to click on equals. We're going to type VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP. Okay. We're going to open a parenthesis. We're going to choose our control that we just made from the A column. Okay. And then we're going to put comma. And then we're going to go to sheet 1. And make sure this is still here when you go to sheet 1. Okay. And again, we want to choose from the control all the way to the very last thing that we have that's an email, right? And then we want to scroll all the way down to the bottom until the bottom of the list, right? So now we have our range for that control to look through, okay? The next thing we need to do is put another comma. This is where it becomes we need to do some math, right? Because right now, our phone number, if we scroll all the way back to the top, we go to phone, which is right here, is on AF. We need to basically convert that to a number, right? And of course, this could have been done easier if we deleted some columns and so forth. But so I can show you what this does, right? So control is 1, right? So A is 1, B is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 at T. Scroll all the way down. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So 32 would be for phone numbers, and let's continue counting for email. 33, 34, 35, 36. So 32 and 36 are the numbers that we need for our phone numbers and for our emails. Okay. So for this specific formula, we're going to put 32. Okay. And then we're going to type in false. Okay. Make sure I spelled that right though. And we're going to go ahead and click enter. Okay. And basically what you should have now is, depending on if it has values, so Ryan Williams, if it had a value, it would pull it in there. Okay. Now, same idea, we could technically just copy and paste now this exact formula, and we can go ahead and insert it in this one, and then we can change the 32 to the 36. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click enter, and it's going to ask if you want to autofill and all that. That's fine. But now I want to select both of these two, and I want to drag them down. Okay, notice if I drag them down, we're starting to get numbers, starting to get emails. So we can pretty much do the same thing, continue dragging it down all the way to the bottom. All right. So now we have all this information. But notice when we skip trace information, we still don't have a lot of data, right? Like, this is the problem also going direct to seller, is like skip tracing not only costs us a lot of money, but also we don't get a lot of information from it. And these are basically all the emails. So if I select all this, we have 73 emails. If I select phone 1 right here, we have account 18. So 18 phone numbers, 73 emails. Like that's what we got out of 167. So how much data already is like not even accurate. But nonetheless, right? So same idea right here. Like we still want to verify these phone numbers and emails, like especially off-market data. Make sure, because 50% of these emails and phone numbers could also be incorrect, right? But we won't know until we actually put it through a scrubbing tool. Okay. So again, same idea, to save you time, to save you money, and all that. We're gonna go ahead and click on the data right here. We're gonna create a filter from this column. We're gonna sort the emails from A to Z. We have all these emails. You could just delete all these contacts now, because we just don't have the information, right? Like, what's the point of even putting it through a scrubber and costing you money to scrub this when there's no email there or phone number or whatever. So in this instance, you might as well just go ahead and clean this data, right? Oops, do it top. So this property will be 40. Go all the way down. I'm gonna go ahead and just delete these selected rows, and now we're left with 38 properties. Okay. So again, same idea. All we have to do now is verify, make sure there's no duplicates, because there's no point of spending money for duplicates, let alone to upload into your system. Data cleanup, duplicates. We're going to say data has a header row. We're going to unselect all of them. We're going to go to the email, remove duplicates. There was no duplicates found. So great. Awesome. So there's 38 unique properties in here. Once we're done with this, we can just go File, Download as CSV, and we're done.